Welcome to the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service. It is a United Way partner agency. We are located on the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. Today is the 22nd of February, 2018. It's Thursday. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. And your radio hosts today are Clark and
Nancy.
And we will be reading the news for today's edition of the Fayettville Observer.
And we're going to begin with your weather and my weather. Today we're going to have a high of 81. Very high. But we're going to have a passing shower and fog this morning. Tonight it's going to go down to 59 degrees, partly cloudy and very mild. Going to Friday, we're going to have a high of 80, a low of 61. We're going to see the sun and an area of low clouds. Saturday, high of 81, a low of 65, and now they're saying a shower in the AM, mostly cloudy. Sunday, high of 82, a low of 57, mostly cloudy with spotty showers. Don't put your umbrella away. Moving toward Monday, high of 65, a low of 46, cloudy and a little cooler, showers at night. Moving to Tuesday, we have a high of 68 and a low of 44, and yoo-hoo, it's sunshine and pleasantly warm. Moving to Wednesday, it's partial sunshine, a high of 66 and a low of 46. There is your weather.
And your applause for today goes to Charles Connett of Southern Pines. He was named to the President's list at Coastal Carolina University in Conway, South Carolina, for the 2017 fall semester. And next, the applause is for Jessica Lang of Whispering Pines. She was named to the President's list at Coastal Carolina University in Conway, South Carolina, again for the fall semester of 2017. Today in history. Today is Thursday, February 22nd. It is the 53rd day of 2018, and there are only 312 days left in the year. Today's highlight: on February 22nd in 1732, New Style date. The first president of the United States, George Washington, was born in Westmoreland County in the Virginia colony. And on today's date in history, in 1909, the Great White Fleet, a naval task force sent on a round-the-world voyage by President Theodore Roosevelt, returned after more than 1 year at sea. On today's date in history, in 1924, President Calvin Coolidge delivered the first radio broadcast from the White House as he addressed the country over 42 stations. That's radio stations. And on today's date, in 1943, Pan Am Flight 9035, a Boeing 314 flying boat, crashed while attempting to land in Lisbon, Portugal. 25 people were killed. 14 survived, including actress-singer Jane Froman. And on today's date, in 1967, more than 25,000 U.S. and South Vietnamese troops launched Operation Junction City, aimed at smashing a Viet Cong stronghold near the Cambodian border. Although the communists were driven out, the communists later returned to that area. And on today's date, in 1980, the Miracle on Ice took place in Lake Placid, New York, as the United States of America's hockey team, Olympic hockey team that is, upset the Soviets 4-3. The U.S. team went on to win the gold medal in hockey, Olympic hockey. And today's local birthdays, celebrity birthdays that is, goes to Agita Williams. She was born on today's date. February 22nd. So was Blondie Hawkins and Lula Baldwin. We say happy birthday to Igita, Blondie, and Lula. Happy birthday. And birthdays. Actor Paul Dooley is 90 years old. Actor James Hong is 89. Actress Miyu is 68. Basketball Hall of Famer Julius Irving is 68. Actor Kyle MacLachlan is 59. World Golf Hall of Famer Vijay Singh, he's 55. Actress comedian Rachel Dratch is 52. Actor Paul Lieberstein is 51. Actress Jerry Ryan is 50. Actress singer Leah Salonga is 47. Actor Jose Solano is 47. Tennis great Michael Chang is 46. Singer James Blunt is 47. Actress Drew Barrymore. We remember Drew Barrymore in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. She is 43.
Love that movie.
Yeah. Actress Lisa Huber is 43. And wrapping it up is actor Daniel E. Smith. He is 28 years old today. And that concludes the birthdays for today.
Okay, let's move to the daybreak section of the Fayetteville Observer. Remember, today's Thursday, February 22nd, 2018. Need to know, number 1, Gospel Explosion. Grammy-nominated contemporary gospel singer Ricky Dillard and his choir will perform March 17th at Fayetteville State University's Gospel Explosion. The concert is scheduled for 6 p.m. in J.W. Seabrook Auditorium. Tickets are $25 for the general public, $20 for alumni, faculty, staff, and the military. Tickets may be purchased at etix.com and at the auditorium. For more information, please call 672-1724. Number 2, a lip sync showdown. Tickets are on sale for Fayetteville's Ultimate Lip Sync Showdown, scheduled for March 24th at the Crown Center Ballroom. A social hour begins at 6 p.m. The show starts at 7. Proceeds benefit the Child Advocacy Center. Local celebrities will battle it out for the title of Fayetteville's Ultimate Lip Sync Star. Audience participation determines the winner of the People's Choice Award. Your tickets are $50 per person for standard table seating and $75 per person for VIP table seating. Tickets are available at capefeartix.com or at the Crown Box office. For more information, get your pencils, go to cacfaync.org. Number 3, Go Red for Women Heart event. Southeastern Health will host a Go Red for Women Heart event at Biggs Park Mall in Lumberton on Wednesday from 11 to 1 p.m. The event will feature a display of red dresses and a presentation on women and heart disease in the center court at noon. Complimentary heart healthy heavy hors d'oeuvres will be provided, as well as free giveaways and health screening for blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar. The event will include booths with information about women's health, cancer prevention, breast health, fitness, heart health, wound care, and more. We want to hear from you. Please submit your events in writing at least 10 days in advance. Email your calendar at fayobserver.com or fax your details to 486-3545. And if you have questions, please call 486-3500. Now, the second part of Daybreak The mall walkers can enter 2 hours early daily. Question, is the public still allowed to walk around the inside of Cross Creek Mall before the stores open? If so, what time do the doors open? And which door do I use to gain access? If I walk the whole mall, how long is it? If I include the short side wings, how long is that? Answer. Lee Burnett, marketing director for Cross Creek Mall, said the mall opens 2 hours early every day for walkers. The early hours are 8 a.m. Monday through Saturday and 10 a.m. on Sunday. All the doors should be open, but certainly the food court doors would be open, Burnett said. Unfortunately, Burnett said she did not know the walking distance inside the mall. If we are able to find the information later, we will pass it along. Roger Mullen says, question, are Kim Gravel on QVC and Ann Burrell on the Food Network related? There is a resemblance from EC and Fayetteville. Answer, we checked the websites of both Gravel and Burrell, but find no mention that they are related. Gravel grew up in Georgia while Burrell is from upstate New York. Roger Mullen says, Livewire seeks to answer your questions. Contact Livewire at livewire@fayetteobserver.com or call them at 486-3516.
And the well owners file a suit over Gen X.
Oh no.
Dozens of residents who live near a Bladen County plant that manufactures a potentially cancer-causing compound filed a federal lawsuit Wednesday against the company and its predecessor. The lawsuit was filed in U.S. District Court by lawyers in Asheville and Dallas on behalf of 70 residents who live near the Chemours plant, which is located just off North Carolina Highway 87 near the Cumberland County line. It alleges that the Chemours plant and its predecessor, DuPont, secretly released Gen X and similar compounds into groundwater, into lakes, into the air, into the soil, and into the Cape Fear River. Chemours officials did not respond to an email sent late Wednesday afternoon seeking a response to the suit and its allegations. The lawsuit is separate from suits filed earlier on behalf of residents who live in communities near the Cape Fear River downstream from the facility. North Carolina environmental regulators had been investigating Chemours since June of 2017 when the Wilmington Star News reported that researchers had published a study the previous year showing they had found Gen X and similar compounds in the Cape Fear River. Gen X has since been discovered in more than 280 private wells near the plant, including more than 150 that have elevated levels of Gen X. Gen X has been linked to several forms of cancer in animal studies, but it is not known if the effect is the same in human beings. The compound is used to make non-stick cookware and other products. The lawsuit focuses on Gen X and C8, that's Charlie 8, a compound that was previously made at the Chemours plant. C8, or Charlie 8, which is the letter C, C8, which also is known as PFOA, has a suggestive risk for cancer, according to the Environmental Protection Agency. The lawsuit also mentions two Naphion byproducts from the Bladen County plant. Naphion is a brand name for membrane products manufactured for electronic cells. Nafion products are also used for energy storage, fuel cell, bulk, specialty, and ultra-high purity chemical production, waste recovery, and other specialty applications, according to the Chemours website. DuPont, which formed Chemours in 2015 as a spin-off company, said in the year 2009 that it would stop making C8. DuPont was facing a class action lawsuit from thousands of people in Ohio and West Virginia because it had been discharging that compound into the Ohio River since the 1950s. Chemours and DuPont last year settled about 3,500 lawsuits, with each company agreeing to pay $335 million and up to $25 million a year each for the next 5 years for potential later claims. Those lawsuits had alleged that DuPont knew C8 was dangerous but failed to stop it from poisoning. I say that again. They failed to stop it from poisoning the water supply. The lawsuit filed Wednesday alleges that for 40 years, 4 decades, the two companies have been secretly, say that again, they have been secretly releasing their persistent bioaccumulative and toxic perfluorinated chemicals into the community around Fayetteville Works and contaminating nearby property, nearby groundwater, and nearby surface water, including our own Cape Fear River, just as they did in Parkersburg, West Virginia, all the while misleading state and federal regulators and the public like you and me. This lawsuit alleges that even though DuPont was supposed to stop making C8 in 2013, monitoring reports showed discharges of the compound in October of 2016 at more than 2,285 times the Environmental Protection Agency guideline and more than 142 times the guideline level the following March. The companies told regulators the C8 and Gen X were made in a closed-loop system, which captured the compounds and shipped them to another site for disposal, but instead the companies were discharging those chemicals and other similar compounds since 1980, according to the lawsuit's allegations. The lawsuit also alleges that the companies contaminated the air that we breathe. DuPont engineers developed a model that shows plumes of C8 would lead to a hot spot over nearby Willis Creek. The plant also emitted thousands of pounds of Gen X from 2012 to 2016, this lawsuit alleges. Now, people, if you have a question out there, you may contact Steve Devane. He is the writer of this article, and you can reach him on email at sdevane@fayobserver.com, or if you prefer, you may call Steve Devane at 910-486-3572.
All right, now, listeners, readers, leaders react to Billy Graham's death. You know, Billy Graham died yesterday.
How old was he?
He was 99 years old.
He had a good life.
Reverend Billy Graham, remember, he's from our state, North Carolina, and he became the most widely heard Christian evangelist in history. He died Wednesday at the age of 99. Our readers on Facebook and Twitter shared thoughts and condolences. We also compiled reaction from leaders who expressed admiration and respect for the evangelist. Here is what some of them had to say. I'm not going to read all of them here. Brad Cooper: the Bible says to lay up treasures in heaven. It is my belief that the treasures the Bible is talking about are people who are in heaven, because you help direct them towards heaven by not only telling them the gospel of Jesus Christ, but also showing them the gospel of Jesus Christ with your deeds of love towards them. People are the real treasure. Jesus Christ didn't suffer a horrible, painful death for money or gold. Billy Graham is enjoying the company of many treasures right now. Debbie Ohl says, you are home now, sitting with God. Rest in peace, sir. Prayers for the ones left behind. In a tweet, President Donald Trump said, the great Billy Graham is dead. There was nobody like him. He will be missed by Christians and all religions. A very special man. Vice President Mike Pence: Billy Graham's ministry for the gospel of Jesus Christ and his matchless voice changed the lives of millions. Pence tweeted, we'll mourn his passing, but I know with absolute certainty that today he heard those words, well done, good and faithful servant. Former President Barack Obama: Billy Graham was a humble servant who prayed for so many, and who, with wisdom and grace, gave hope and guidance to generations of Americans. Former President Jimmy Carter: tirelessly spreading a message of fellowship and hope, he shaped the spiritual lives of tens of millions of people worldwide. Broad-minded, forgiving, and humble in his treatment of others, he exemplified the life of Jesus Christ by constantly reaching out for opportunities to serve. And we have one from the televangelist Joel Osteen: Billy Graham has always been and will always be a hero in our home. Next to my own father, Reverend Graham was the most humble and gracious man I ever knew. I am honored to call him a friend and a mentor. Victoria and I will miss him dearly. There you go. Please look at the paper and get someone to share with you some more comments about the death of Billy Graham yesterday at the age of 99.
I have a follow-up article concerning Gen X. The title of this article is The Feds Subpoena DuPont Chemours Over the Gen X Issue. This was written by Vaughn Haggerty of the Gatehouse Media. In southeastern North Carolina, federal prosecutors investigating Gen X-related contamination from the Fayetteville Works served Chemours and DuPont with a succession of subpoenas in the final months of 2017. A sprawling facility about 100 miles up the Cape Fear River from Wilmington, the Fayetteville Works was the property of DuPont until the year 2017, when it created Chemours as a separate company. Since then, Chemours has owned the industrial site and chemical manufacturing lines blamed for contamination by Gen X and related substances in the river, downstream drinking water, and in nearby private wells and in the air. The North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality, or the DEQ, and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, also known as the EPA, launched investigations last summer, the summer of 2017. In July of 2017, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the U.S. Eastern District of North Carolina subpoenaed DEQ for information relating to the contamination. A DEQ spokeswoman, Bridget Munger, said that is the only subpoena DEQ has received. Chemours and DuPont, however, were served a number of these subpoenas. In its 2017 annual report made public 16 February of this year, Chemours wrote that it is cooperating with a variety of ongoing inquiries and investigations from federal, from state, and from local authorities, and from regulators and other governmental entities, including responding to 3 federal grand jury subpoenas. DuPont last summer, that was the summer of 2017, merged with Dow Chemical Company to form Dow DuPont, which revealed in its latest annual report that it had also been served with subpoenas. In August 2017, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of North Carolina served DuPont with a subpoena for testimony and the production of documents to a grand jury. In the fourth quarter 2017, DuPont was served with additional subpoenas relating to the same issue. The subpoenas seek documents and testimony related to alleged discharges of PFOA and or Gen-X from the Fayetteville Works facility into the Cape Fear River. It is possible that these ongoing inquiries and investigations, including the grand jury subpoena, could result in penalties or sanctions, or that additional litigation will be instituted against Chemours and or DuPont, the company reported. Asked Tuesday about the subpoenas, DuPont spokesman Dan Turner said, "We are currently responding to the subpoenas and cooperating with the U.S. Attorney's Office." Chemours did not respond to questions from the Star News, which I believe is a newspaper down in Wilmington. PFOA, also known as C8, that's Charlie 8, the letter C8, is the substance Gen-X replaced for use in making Teflon and other products. It has been linked to cancer and other serious health problems and has resulted in numerous lawsuits connected with contamination in the mid-Ohio Valley, costing Chemours and DuPont hundreds of millions of dollars to settle. The North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation, or the SBI, asked by DEQ, the Department of Environmental Quality, to check for evidence of criminal wrongdoing related to the North Carolina contamination, said in a recent interview that its agents are helping in the federal probe. It is a federal investigation, SBI spokeswoman Patty McQuillan said last month. The SBI is assisting them. That is the State Bureau of Investigation. A spokesman at the Eastern District declined to comment because the investigation is ongoing. In addition to the federal investigation, both companies' annual reports acknowledge a number of lawsuits which have been consolidated into 2 actions, one encompassing claims by the Cape Fear Public Utility Authority, or the CFPUA, in Brunswick County, and another comprising suits by residents in southeastern North Carolina. I think this whole Gen X thing is really starting to snowball into something that DuPont and Chemours didn't expect. But as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, it happened in Ohio and it happened in West Virginia. Now it's happening in North Carolina. And I would like to tell you that it is 10:30 in the morning on Thursday, the 22nd of February, and this is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency, and we broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University. And our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call us at 910-672-1600 or call that toll-free number 844-709-5656. Your radio hosts today are Clark and
Nancy.
And we are proud to serve you today.
Now, please listen for the timeline of events of Billy Graham. It's very interesting. Living 99 years, he covered so many things in his life. He was born in 1918. Born William Franklin Graham. He was born in Charlotte on November 7th. In 1934, Graham commits to Jesus Christ at a revival meeting. 1936, Graham graduates from high school and becomes a Fuller brush salesman. So he sold brushes door to door. He later enrolls at Bob Jones College in Cleveland, Tennessee. In 1937, after leaving Bob Jones College, Graham preaches his first sermon at Bostwick Baptist Church in Florida. 1938, Graham leads his first revival at East Palataca Baptist Church in Florida. 1939, Graham is ordained into the ministry at Peniel Baptist Church in Florida. 1940, Graham graduates from Florida Bible Institute, now Trinity College. He enrolls in Wheaton III College, where he meets his future wife, fellow student Ruth McHugh Bell. 1943, Western Springs Baptist Church in Western Springs, Illinois, hires Graham to be its pastor. It was his only pastorate, so he stayed with this church his entire life as pastor. 1944, Graham begins a radio program called Songs in the Night on WCFL Chicago. 1947, Graham's first citywide revival in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and he publishes his first book, Calling Youth to Christ. 1949, Christ for Greater Los Angeles revival catches the attention of newspaper magnate William Randolph Hearst. The resulting national and international news coverage launches Graham into prominence. 1950, First Hour Decision radio program airs. A year later, it broadcasts over the ABC network. Wars going on, just during this time. 1951, Billy Graham Evangelistic Association, BGEA, releases its first film, Mr. Texas, followed by more than 30 other films through the years. 1952, first My Answer column runs. 53, in a bold move for the time, Graham banned seating based on race at his rallies. 1957, ABC broadcasts live meetings of the New York City Crusade in Madison Square Garden. 1962, Billy and Ruth Graham start a radio station with the goal of leading as many people as possible into a personal and dynamic relationship with Christ. 1969, Graham preaches his first White House church service at the request of President Richard Nixon. 1973, Graham preaches to more than 1.1 million people in Korea in what was the largest religious service in all history. 1980, TV telephone ministry begins, which has aided hundreds of thousands in beginning a relationship with Christ. 1981, Pope John Paul II meets with Graham at the Vatican. Graham ministers to President Ronald Reagan at his bedside after the latter was shot in an assassination attempt. 1982, Graham preaches for the first time in Russia. 1983, President Reagan awards Graham the Presidential Medal of Freedom. 1987, Billy Graham Training Center at the Cove, a Bible retreat and youth camp in the Blue Ridge Mountains, opens near Graham's home. 1988, Billy Graham Training Center in Asheville launches its first programs. 1991, President George H.W. Bush requests Graham to come to the White House for the launch of the war in Iraq. 1993, the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association dedicates the Billy Graham Training Center in Asheville for the purpose of Bible training. In the year 2000, Billy Graham is named CEO of the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association. In 2001, Graham gives what is likely his last live nationally televised message at the 9/11 service at the National Cathedral in Washington. I wish I could have heard that. The Billy Graham Evangelistic Association develops a grief and trauma training seminar to minister to victims. It develops into the Billy Graham Rapid Response Team. 2002, the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association launches the My Hope Ministry at home-based crusades, resulting in more than 10 million people worldwide making decisions for Christ. In 2005, Billy Graham holds his final crusade in New York City. 2007, the Billy Graham Library opens in Charlotte. And my last date, in 2013, Graham marks his 95th birthday with the national promotion of his My Hope Ministry. Numerous celebrities attend the actual observance. What a great man, Billy Graham.
And here we have an article that says that Donald Trump, that's President Donald Trump, hears emotional pleas. Students, parents that were affected by the Florida school shooting asked the president to take a stand against gun violence. And this was written by Catherine Lucy and Matthew Daly of the Associated Press. In Washington, spilling out retching tales of lost lives and stolen safety, students with quavering voices and parents shaking with anger appealed to President Donald Trump on Wednesday to set politics aside and protect American school children from the scourge of gun violence. President Trump listened intently as raw emotions reverberated throughout the White House. Faced with the personal anguish wrought by the school shooting in Parkland, Florida, that left 17 students dead, President Donald Trump pledged action saying, "We don't want others to go through the kind of pain you have been through." The president was faced with grieving families that were looking for answers. Few had concrete suggestions, but a few spoke in favor of raising age limits for buying assault weapons. Parkland student Samuel Zeif said he's heard of 15-year-old people buying rifles. And Gary Gruber, father of a Parkland student, implored the president that it is not left and right, and added, if you cannot buy a beer, you should not be able to buy a gun at age 18. Andrew Pollock, whose daughter Meadow Pollock was killed in the shooting, noted previous school massacres and raged over his loss, saying the moment wasn't about gun laws, but the moment was about fixing the schools. It should have been one school shooting, and we should have fixed it way back then. And I am pissed, he said, because my daughter, I'm not going to see again, will be, the only place for me to see her now will be at the King David Cemetery, and that's where I'm going to have to go see my kid from this point on. President Trump solicited suggestions from the group. The president promised to be very strong on background checks, adding that we are going to do plenty of other things. He also indicated interest in the idea of concealed weapons for trained teachers, saying it was something his administration would be looking at very strongly. A strong supporter of gun rights, President Trump has nonetheless indicated in recent days that he is willing to consider ideas not in keeping with the National Rifle Association orthodoxy, including age restrictions for buying assault-type weapons. Still, gun owners are a key part of his base of supporters. Over 40 people assembled in the state dining room. Among the group were 6 students from Parkland, Florida, including the student body president, along with their parents. Also present were Darrell and Sandra Scott, whose daughter was killed in the Columbine, Colorado shooting, and also Nicole Hockley and Mark Barden, who lost children in the Sandy Hook shooting in Connecticut. Students and parents from the Washington area were also present. The student body president at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, Julia Cordover, tearfully told President Trump that she was lucky enough to come home from school that day. Julia Cordover added that I am confident, President Trump, that you will do the right thing. Not all of the students impacted by the shooting came to the White House. David Hogue, who has been one of the students actively calling for gun control, was invited to the White House but declined, said his mother, Rebecca Baldrick. His point was that the president needs to come to Parkland, Florida. We are not going there, said Rebecca Baldrick. Television personality Geraldo Rivera had dinner with the president at his private Palm Beach club over the weekend and described President Trump as deeply affected by his visit Friday with Parkland survivors. In an email, Geraldo Rivera said he and President Trump discussed the idea of raising the minimum age to purchase assault-type weapons such as the AR-15, which is automatic rifle model 15. President Trump suggested strongly that he was going to act to strengthen the background checks. Senator Dianne Feinstein and Senator Jeff Flake, a Republican from Arizona, said they will introduce a bill to raise the minimum age required to purchase rifles from gun dealers, including assault weapons such as the AR-15. A kid that is too young to buy a handgun should also be too young to buy an AR-15, said Senator Jeff Flake from Arizona, a Republican. The bill he and Feinstein support would raise the minimum purchase age for non-military buyers from age 18 to age 21. It is the same age required to purchase a handgun and the same age to purchase alcohol. The National Rifle Association did not respond to a request for a comment. President Trump embraced gun rights on his campaign, though he supported some gun control before he became a presidential candidate, backing an assault weapons ban and a longer waiting period to purchase a gun in a book that he wrote in the year 2000.
All right, now, this is more about Billy Graham. This is written by Bob Chekvidijan, and he is the former child abuse chief prosecutor and the founder of GRACE, Godly Response to Abuse in the Christian Environment. He also is a professor of law at Liberty University School of Law and a published author. He is the third eldest grandchild of Billy Graham. The title is My Grandfather Billy Graham Was My Hero. I have always known Billy Graham, the renowned local evangelist, who died on Wednesday at the age of 99, as Daddy Bill. Though I'm not sure how we grandchildren came up with it, we cherish the fact that we had our own special name for a man we shared with the rest of the world. My earliest memories of Daddy Bill are of spending summers and holidays with him and my amazing grandmother Ruth Bell Graham in Montreat, North Carolina, traveling to his evangelistic meetings around the country and hosting them at our home in South Florida. There my grandfather would take us to his favorite restaurant, Morrison's Cafeteria. When my wife and I were attending different graduate schools in different states, we often met for weekends at my grandparents' home, nestled in the Blue Ridge Mountains. I'll never ever forget those weekends. Each night before my grandparents headed off to bed, they would come into the kitchen and ask if my wife and I wanted to join them in prayer. Many a night the four of us ended the day on our knees together. I am forever humbled to have known and loved a man who was the real deal, who was the same person whether he was in front of thousands or whether we were walking alone through the woods. In an era where many evangelistic leaders were exposed for deep moral and financial failings, I am grateful that my experience was much different. I could have easily grown to become cynical about Jesus and those who claimed to follow him, but I knew and loved a man who made Jesus that much more beautiful to me. Over the years, Daddy Bill and I had fascinating conversations about a wide variety of subjects. The ones I enjoyed most were about politics and history. What always amazed me was that he personally knew many of the subjects of our conversations. One of my favorite memories is when he told me about meeting Winston Churchill. Recalled being in London and receiving a call from Churchill's assistant asking if he was able to stop by the following day. Daddy Bill turned down an invitation because he was scheduled to travel to Scotland the next morning. Yes, my grandfather turned down the opportunity to meet one of the greatest heroes of the 20th century. What is more amazing is that the assistant called back and asked if Daddy Bill was available to meet with Churchill that evening. A few minutes later, my grandfather was in a cab, headed to 10 Downing Street. I will always cherish the fact that Daddy Bill's love for Jesus was genuine. In 1988, I witnessed this love when nobody else was watching. That year, Daddy Bill had invited me and a friend to accompany him to the Republican National Convention in New Orleans. One evening, as we arrived at his hotel, I recall thinking that we were probably wasting our time. It was highly unlikely that Billy Graham would be sitting in his hotel room on a Friday evening during a major political convention. So I was surprised when Daddy Bill opened his door, wearing his pajamas and inviting us in. As we all walked in, I noticed out of the corner of my eye his Bible lying open on his bed. Here was Billy Graham given the chance to spend the evening with any number of influential and famous people of his day, and instead, he chose to spend it alone with Jesus in his hotel room. I left his room that evening forever moved. Now I'm going to go down to shorten it a bit. Daddy Bill knew he didn't have it all together. He was simply a sinner who was tackled by God's amazing love. Spent a lifetime sharing that love in words and actions. I will be forever sharing that love in words and actions that my great Bill experienced God's love through my dear Daddy Bill. And I am profoundly hopeful that we will carry this love forward. Daddy Bill would have wanted it no other way.
And here's a little something from Leonard Pitts Jr. As you know, he is a columnist for the Miami Herald down there in Florida. The title of his little article here, Parkland's Kids Demand Change. You need to grow up. As far as I know, no survivor of last week's mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, has used those words to challenge conservatives who have created a world where mass shootings are almost literally an everyday thing. But the sentiment is clearly there. Consider David Hogue, a 17-year-old student journalist who expressed frustration with lawmakers in an interview on CNN. "We are children," he said. "You guys are the adults." Consider Cameron Kasky, a 17-year-old junior who told CNN, "My message for the people in office is, you are either with us or against us. We are losing our lives while the adults are playing around." Consider Emma Gonzalez, an 18-year-old senior who addressed a rally in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. "To every politician who is taking donations from the NRA," she cried. "Shame on you," she said, this 18-year-old. "Politicians who sit in their gilded House and Senate seats, funded by the NRA, telling us nothing could have ever been done to prevent this, we say," said Emma Gonzalez, an 18-year-old, "we call it BS. And consider what happened when Donald Trump, that's President Donald Trump, tried to spin this mass murder into a screed against the FBI for probing his campaign's possible collusion with Russia. A young lady named Morgan Williams took to Twitter to carve him an orifice the Almighty never intended for him to have. I've heard that term before, but I'm not going to say it right here. Oh my God, 17 of my classmates and friends are gone, and you have the audacity to make this about Russia? Have a damn heart, President Trump. You can keep all your fake and meaningless thoughts and prayers. The students have called a rally, the March for Our Lives, for the 24th of next month, that's March, on the National Mall. And it is too much to hope that maybe we are finally feeling the ground shift beneath our feet. I can't tell you how proud I am of these young people, or how thankful I am for them. When the shootings happened, I begged my editor not to ask me to write about it because I could think of nothing to say I haven't already said a dozen times. My tank on this topic was empty. Yes, what happened was terrible in Parkland, Florida, but it was also terribly old story. But let me tell you one of the best things about kids. It's never old to them because they are relatively brand new here on Earth. When you reach a certain age, you have a longer personal context through which to view the crimes, the sins, and the absurdities of humankind. But when you haven't graduated high school yet, you essentially have only now. Context is a good thing. It can provide valuable perspective, but it can also make you jaded and weary, convince you that crying out is futile because nothing's going to change. But if you have only now, if crimes, sins, and absurdities are visceral and new to you, you confront them with fervor, energy, and anger, often inaccessible to your elders. And sometimes, when you are young like that, you create change. And that is the hope that emerges from this tragedy. And someday, when America is sane again, when future generations wonder how it ever was we protected guns more than we did children, or that a disturbed 19-year-old was able to legally purchase a weapon of war, or that the carnage became routine, or that some of us said this routine carnage was the price of freedom. Maybe we will look back on this as the pivoting point. President Trump and Florida Senator Marco Rubio and every other politician who accepts money soaked in blood from the extremist National Rifle Association should consider themselves on notice. You are being called out by America's children, you two. They have a simple message. Act like adults. Grow the hell up. That's more than many of their friends will ever do and ever have a chance to do. Now, Leonard Pitts, Jr. is the winner of the 2004 Pulitzer Prize for commentary. He is a columnist for the Miami Herald. He is located at 3511 Northwest 91 Avenue, Doral, Florida, 33172. If you are concerned and you would like to discuss this article with Leonard Pitts, Jr., you may write to him via email. Get your pencil. At lpitts@miamiherald.com.
All right, now.
I'd like to say, Nancy,
Okay.
that this is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service. It is a United Way partner agency, and we broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University. And our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations, and we request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina, 28303. If you have any comments, please call us at 910-672 1600. The time now is 11 o'clock in the morning. It's Thursday. It is the 22nd of February, 2018. And I would like to say that your radio hosts today are Clark and
Nancy.
And we are proud to serve you today.
All right, we're going to start with the death notices in second hour. The following deaths have been reported. See upcoming editions of the Fayettville Observer for complete obituary information. Cumberland County, U.S. Army retired Sergeant First Class James Beatty Griffith, age 66, of Fayetteville. Sullivan Highland Funeral Service and Crematory of Fayetteville. Robert L. McMillan Jr., age 63, of Spring Lake. Colvin Funeral Home and Crematory. Norma Whitted, age 47, of Fayetteville. Colvin Funeral Home and Crematory. Moses McLaurin, age 83, of Fayetteville. Colvin Funeral Home and Crematory. Mary Bass, age 69, of Fayetteville, formerly of Bennettsville, South Carolina, McFadder Funeral Home. Bobby Jean Everett Sr., age 78, of Fayetteville, Affordable Cremations. Barbara J. Driffin, age 81, of Fayetteville, of Hope Mills. Pinecrest Funeral and Cremation Services, Hope Mills. Beulah Thompson, age 90, of Fayetteville, Herring Funeral Care and Cremations. Pauline Melvin, age 95, of Fayetteville, Wiseman Mortuary. Moving to the Cape Fear region, Henry L. Graham, age 77, of Rayford, Purcell Funeral Home in Laurenburg. In our funerals for today, Jason Wood Jr., age 51, 2 p.m., Rogers and Brees Funeral Home Chapel. Burial will be at Cumberland Memorial Garden Cemetery, Rogers and Brees Funeral Home. Helen Statterman, age 91, of Fayetteville, 10 a.m., St. Michael the Archangel Maronite Catholic Church. Burial, Lafayette Memorial Park Cemetery, Rogers and Brees Funeral Home. And Harvey Lloyd D. Harvey, age 74, of Cary, 1 p.m., Sullivan Highland Funeral Service. Burial will be at Lafayette Memorial Park, Sullivan Highland Funeral Service and Crematory. And Susan Lennon, age 63, of Bladenboro, 3 p.m., Lewis Cemetery, Latin Gaskins Funeral Home in Elizabethtown. Moving to Cumberland County, Eloise A. Williams, Mrs. Eloise Alston Williams, age 84, of 911 Rochester Drive, Fayetteville, departed this life on Sunday, February 18, 2018. This is handled by Wiseman Mortuary. Jason Dwight Wood, age 51, of Fayetteville. That was Jason Dwight Wood Jr. Passed away on Saturday, February 17, 2018. Services are entrusted to Rogers and Brees Funeral Home. Elizabeth or Beth Watson. Elizabeth Beth Thompson Watson, age 85, passed away Monday at Village Green Rehabilitation and Healthcare Center in Fayetteville. Services are entrusted to Rogers and Brees Funeral Home. Alma J. Atkins, age 77, of Fayetteville, passed away Tuesday, February 20, at Cape Fear Valley Medical Center. Services are entrusted to Butler Funeral Home, 6535 Clinton Road in Stedman. Mr. Preston Leon Morrow, age 48, of Fayetteville, departed this life on February 19, 2018. This is handled by Wiseman Funeral Services. Earl M. Hubbard, age 91, of Fayetteville, died Tuesday, February 20th, 2018. This is handled by Rogers and Breeze Funeral Home. Sherwood William Hulan, age 90, of Fayetteville, died Wednesday, February 21st, 2018. Funeral will be Friday at 2 p.m. This is handled by Rogers and Breeze Funeral Home. Walter L. Brown, Jr., age 72, died Saturday, February 17th. Colvin Funeral Home and Crematory. Douglas Andrew Young, Jr., age 28, of Fayetteville, died Friday, February 16th. Wiseman Mortuary. And Preston Leon Moreau, age 48, of Fayetteville, died Monday, February 19th. Wiseman Mortuary. Okay, and one more. Catherine F. Christian. Catherine Frutchy Christian, age 79, died peacefully at her home on Friday, February 20th, 2018. Arrangements by Jernigan Warren Funeral Home.
And in the region and elsewhere, Billy, middle initial I, William, middle initial I, Billy Hickman, age 84, of St. Paul's, died Friday, 21 February 2018. The funeral will be on Saturday at 11 a.m. at the Great Marsh Baptist Church. The visitation will be at the McNeil Mackey Funeral Home in St. Paul's on Friday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And the burial for William I. Billy Hickman will be at the Great Marsh Baptist Church Cemetery. McNeil Mackey Funeral Home of St. Paul's has been entrusted with the funeral services. Randolph Bennett James, age 90, of 1342 Country Club Road in Salemburg, died Tuesday, 20 February 2018. The memorial will be on Friday at 1 p.m. at the Roseboro First Baptist Church. The visitation will follow the service. The Butler Funeral Home of Roseboro has been entrusted with the funeral services. Jessica Nicole Smith Boone, age 29, of Lumberton, died Monday, 19 February 2018. The funeral will be on Friday at 2 p.m. at the Love Grove Baptist Church in Tar Heel. The visitation will be at the Floyd Mortuary and Crematory in Lumberton on Thursday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. The burial will be in the Gardens of Faith Cemetery in Lumberton. The Floyd Mortuary is in charge of those funeral services. Willie Pine Harrington, age 73, of Lillington, died Tuesday, 13 February 2018. Willie's funeral will be on Saturday at 2 p.m. at the Walker Memorial Chapel, 163 Irene Roberts Road in Lillington. The Walker Memorial Funeral Home has been entrusted with the funeral services. Mr. Louis D. Faison, age 70, of 184 Dave Bright Road in Faison, North Carolina, died Sunday, 18 February 2018. The funeral will be on Friday at 2 p.m. at the Great Six Runs Baptist Church located in Turkey. The visitation will be at the funeral home on Thursday from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. The Worley Funeral Home of Clinton has been entrusted with those services. Ms. Joanne Hardy McKeel, age 79, of Wilson, died Tuesday, 20 February 2018. Her memorial will be on Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and the Joiners Funeral Home has been entrusted with those services. And this concludes our obituaries for today, 22 February 2018. Oh, excuse me. I left out a page. I just noticed here. Mary Falls Peel McDonald, age 96, of Laurenburg, died Tuesday, 20 February 2018. The memorial will be on Saturday at 11 a.m. at the Scotia Village. The visitation will be after the service at Scotia Village on Saturday. The Richard Bowles funeral service has been entrusted with the funeral. Lillian Carthens Cobb, age 73, of Rayford, died Monday, 19 February 2018. The funeral will be on Friday at 11 a.m. at the McCormick Chapel Missionary Baptist Church. The viewing will be at the Bowie Funeral Home Thursday from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. The burial will be at the Highland Biblical Gardens, and the Bowie Funeral Home has been entrusted with the funeral services. Keith B. Mangus, Sr., age 53, of Lillington, died Monday, 19 February 2018. The memorial will be on Friday at 3 p.m. at the Ephesus Presbyterian Church. The visitation will be at the Church Fellowship Hall after the service on Friday. O'Quinn Peebles Phillips Funeral Home and Crematory of Lillington has been entrusted with those funeral services. Mr. James Harold Hunt, age 80, of Fairmont, died Tuesday, 20 February 2018. There will be a graveside service on Friday at 3 p.m. The Reedy Branch Baptist Church Cemetery is where the graveside service will be. Ruth May Wachter, age 94, of 120 South McGowan Street, Apartment C, died Wednesday on the 14th of February 2018. Her funeral will be on Friday at noon at the Wiseman Mortuary Chapel. The viewing will be at the Wiseman Mortuary on Thursday from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. The burial will be at the Sandy Grove AME Zion Church Cemetery in Lumberbridge. The Wiseman Mortuary has been put in charge of the funeral services. Charles Allen Cox, age 63, of Lumberton, died Monday, 19 February 2018. The funeral will be on Friday at 2 p.m. at the Cedar Grove Baptist Church in Lumberton. The visitation will be at the Floyd Mortuary and Crematory in Lumberton on Thursday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And the burial will be at the Rozier Cemetery in Lumberton. Floyd Mortuary has been entrusted with those funeral services. Ernest Bell, age 59, of 943 Midway Elementary School Road in Dunn, died Monday, 12 February 2018. The funeral will be on Friday at noon at the Dafford Funeral Home Chapel located in Dunn. The viewing will be at the chapel on Friday from 11 a.m. to noon. The burial will be at the Rest Haven Cemetery in Dunn. The Dafford Funeral Home of Dunn has been entrusted with the funeral services. David D.J. Hooks, age 78, of Whiteville, died Monday, 19 February 2018. The funeral will be on Thursday at 11 a.m. at the Peacock Funeral Home Chapel. The visitation will be at the Peacock Funeral Home on Wednesday from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. and the burial will be at the Flynn Cemetery, and the Peacock Funeral Home and Crematory has been entrusted with those funeral services. And I'll say again, this concludes our obituaries for 22 February 2018.
Now we have an editor's note. For many years, Billy Graham's column has appeared in the Fayetteville Observer, as well as many other newspapers, where it reached an audience of 5 million readers. Graham wrote this final column to publish when he died. His column will continue to be published, compiled, and edited by his associates based on Graham's thoughts, words, and works. So readers, you can still write to the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association at 1 Billy Graham Parkway, Charlotte, North Carolina, 28201, or call 8772-GRAHAM. So this is his final column that Graham wanted to have published. From the Tribune Content Agency. Dear Reverend Graham, Mr. Graham, how would you like to be remembered? By D.F. My answer: I hope I will be remembered as someone who was faithful to God, faithful to the gospel of Jesus Christ, and faithful to the calling God gave me, not only as an evangelist, but as a husband, a father, and a friend. I'm sure I've failed in many ways, but I take comfort in Christ's promise of forgiveness. And I take comfort also in God's ability to take even our most imperfect efforts and use them for His glory. By the time you read this, I will be in heaven. And as I write this, I'm looking forward with great anticipation to the day when I will be in God's presence forever. I'm convinced that heaven is far more glorious than anything we can possibly imagine right now. And I look forward not only to its wonder and peace, but also to the joy of being reunited with those who have gone there before me, especially my dear wife, Ruth. The Bible says, now we see but a poor reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. From the first book of Corinthians, chapter 13, verse 12. But I won't be in heaven because I've preached to large crowds or because I've tried to live a good life. I'll be in heaven for one reason. Many years ago, I put my faith and trust in Jesus Christ, who died on the cross to make our forgiveness possible and rose again from the dead to give us eternal life. Do you know you will go to heaven when you die? You can. by committing your life to Jesus Christ today. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. From John chapter 3, verse 16. And now this is today's Billy Graham in our newspaper. The very first one after his death yesterday at the age of 99. Admit to constant complaining and ask for Christ's forgiveness. Question. Recently my niece asked me why I was constantly complaining about everything. And I had to face the fact that she's probably right. I guess I've been a complainer most of my life without even realizing it. How can I change? I don't really want to be this way. From Mrs. E.B. Answer. I'm thankful for your niece. It took courage for her to confront you about this. Most of us don't like to have our faults pointed out to us. But if we aren't confronted with them, we'll probably never change. The Bible says, do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs. From the book of Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29. Have you even asked yourself why you complain so much? I doubt if it's because your life is filled with overwhelming problems and deep sorrows, and even if it is, it shouldn't turn you into a bitter, constant complainer. Perhaps instead, you want others to feel sorry for you, or you want their attention. In reality, however, no one likes to be around someone who constantly complains and looks only on the negative side of things. The Bible says, be content with what you have. From the book of Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5. What should you do? First, see your complaining for what it really is, a sin against God. Admit it, confess it, trust Christ to forgive it, and then with his help, leave it behind. When a complaint is on your tongue, ask God to take it away. In addition, ask God to give you a grateful heart. In other words, an attitude of constant thankfulness. Thankfulness drives out complaining. The Bible tells us to be always giving thanks to God, the Father, for everything, in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. From the book of Ephesians chapter 5, verse 20.
And now we have a word from Dear Abby. A message left on a voicemail embarrasses a patient. Dear Abby, my psychiatrist's office called and left a very sensitive voicemail about my bulimia on a message machine shared with other individuals so they could probably hear my message to me. Our voicemails are sent transcribed to everyone's email accounts. Since my complaint, which was an argument during which the nurse who left the private information hung up on me, Human Resources and the office manager have contacted me to try to alleviate the tension. But I have received no apology from anyone for violating HIPAA or embarrassing me. Should I throw in the towel and find a new doctor or revoke my contact information from their files? I do not know how to proceed from here. Signed, Personal to Public. Dear Personal to Public, if you provided a shared phone number as your point of contact, you should not have blamed the person who left the message for using it. I see no reason to change doctors, but you should definitely alter your client information so this does not happen again in the future. That said, does your psychiatrist know one of his or her employees hung up on you? If not, that doctor should be informed and you should be offered an apology for his employee hanging up on you. Dear Abby, as guardians of our 5-year-old grandson, we have been given all rights, no terms. He has a father who is on again, off again, and makes zero financial contributions to the child. I want to cut him off because consistency and effort are important to me, and he shows none. Well, my husband, on the other hand, says the boy is young, yet he's only 5 years old, and I should give his father some time, because contact once every other month is better than no contact at all. Our grandson enjoys him when he is here, but he doesn't miss him or ask for him once he has left the scene. Should I allow this inconsistency and instability to continue? Signed, Parents Again in California. Dear Parents Again in California, I think your husband is right. While the father's presence may be sporadic to the 5-year-old grandson, at least he knows that he is cared about. As the young lad grows older, he may or may not start asking why his father isn't around as much as he is. Just deal with it then, because the boy's stability is coming from the home you and your husband are providing for him, and that should be your focus. Dear Abby, I'm close to my brother and his wife. My friend Dottie, who is estranged from her husband, thinks my brother is hot. So when she sees him without his wife, she greets him with a quick kiss on the lips. I have told her I don't think my sister-in-law would like it if he saw her doing that. Since then, Dottie has asked him to do some repair work around her house. Without pay, of course. Just what kind of pay is he getting, we wonder. And he has agreed because he's such a kind-hearted soul. I told her subtly that I did not think that it was a good idea. If her subtle behavior toward married men is normal, is her behavior toward married men normal? Signed, Too Friendly in Hawaii. Dear Too Friendly in Hawaii, it is for a woman who is friendly, outgoing, and on the prowl. Yes, it is. Her behavior is normal. You may be dropping hints about what Dottie is doing to the wrong person. The next time you talk to your brother, tell him what you think about your friend's behavior, and ask him what he thinks about his wife, what he thinks his wife would think about it. Don't blame Dottie, blame him. If you have a Dear Abby question that you would like to submit to Jean Phillips, you may do so by writing her at dearabby.com, or you can send her a letter in the mail using a 50-cent stamp to Dear Abby, Post Office Box 69440, Los Angeles, California 90069. Now the time is 11:30 in the morning. It's Thursday. It's the 22nd of February 2018, and I would like to remind you that this is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service. It is a United Way partner agency, and we broadcast from the campus of FSU. And our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations, and we request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call us at 910-672-1600 or call that toll-free number 844-709-5656. Your radio hosts today are Clark and
Nancy.
And we are so proud to serve you today.
All right, now hold on to your seats. This is what you've been waiting for. The Horoscope by Stella Wilder. If you were born today, you are likely to make much of yourself the old-fashioned way by working hard and bettering yourself over the long term, rather than hoping for some kind of advancement that is quick and unearned. Pisces, February 19th to March 20th. Pisces, you'll find yourself working in tandem with someone else today, even though you may be many miles apart. This can lead to something big. Aries, March 21st to April 19th. You have no doubt that you're on the right track today, and yet you may fear that someone isn't going to let you reach your destination. Taurus, April 20th to May 20th. Taurus the Bull, you are waiting for information from an expert to complete the overall picture you have of what lies ahead. Be ready to act, Taurus. Gemini, May 21st through June 20th. Gemini, you're likely to receive an assignment today that requires you to learn something more about a topic already familiar to you. Cancer, here you go, June 21st to July 22nd. Cancer, don't hesitate to ask for help today, as it is likely to be near at hand. You may require a specialist to address a key issue. Leo, July 23rd through August 22nd. Leo, weigh your options carefully today. Make no decisions without having all the facts. Making an assumption at this time can prove hazardous. Virgo, August 23rd through September 22nd. What you want is likely to be available to you before the day is out, but you may discover that it is not at all what you really need. Libra, September 23rd through October 22nd. Libra, you're likely to encounter a member of the opposite sex who challenges you in a new and unexpected way. He or she knows what you are about. Scorpio, October 23rd to November 21st. Scorpio, you will want to call upon someone to address an issue that is out of your comfort zone. You cannot absent yourself completely, however. Sagittarius, November 22nd to December 21st. Saggy, you are eager to avoid something fast approaching, but that may not be possible today. You must prepare yourself for the inevitable. Capricorn, December 22nd through January 19th. Coming up with a solution to a current problem is likely to require you to step out of your comfort zone and learn something new. Aquarius, January 20th to February 18th. You may be separated from someone who has given you much support recently, but he or she can still help you out, even from a distance. And there's your horoscope for today.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. It's tongue twister time, brought to you by the People's Pharmacy, as written by Joe and Teresa Graydon. Question is, do flu shots make influenza less severe? Question. In most of the news coverage of flu outbreaks, I have seen recommendations to get a flu shot even if it's not a good match. The announcer always says that even if it doesn't prevent illness, that vaccination will make your flu symptoms less severe. Is that true? Is there any good quality research to support this assertion? Answer. Public health officials encourage people to get the flu shot, even at this late date, 22 February 2018. They maintain that it will protect against influenza. Even if it does not prevent infection, they claim it will lessen the severity of the illness. Any discussion of the effectiveness of this year's flu vaccine is based on mere speculation. Actual data won't be available for months, although in Australia, mates and Sheilas, the shot was only 10% effective against the influenza strain H3N2. Preliminary results from Canada, which uses the very same vaccine as in the United States of America, also suggest 10% effectiveness against H3N2 strain among adults. No one knows whether this year's flu shot will lessen symptom severity, and that data also will not be available for some time. However, French scientists note, surprisingly, very few studies have addressed the question of whether the vaccine mitigates influenza severity among those who develop the illness despite them being vaccinated. In their study of more than 2,000 elderly French people, they found very little symptom reduction of that strain of influenza. Question. I have taken Ambien for years, and you have written about the dangers of such sleep aids. So, I decided to cut back on my sleep aids, Ambien. And I would like to say and share with you and your readers that I spent several weeks hardly sleeping at all when I cut back. Melatonin has been helpful, although it's not perfect. My question is, does it have side effects that I should know about? Answer. Melatonin is a hormone that the brain makes as it is getting ready to gear down for the night. That is why this compound has a reputation as helpful for sleep. Melatonin has been used to help people like you reduce their reliance on benzodiazepine or Z-type sleeping pills such as zolpidem, which this information can be found in the European Journal of Pharmacology dated 5 September 2015. A randomized double-blind placebo-controlled trial showed that melatonin could improve sleep quality in people who have suffered from traumatic brain injury, that's TBI. It being melatonin, has been used to help cancer patients sleep. A Cochrane collaboration review suggests that night shift workers may sleep longer after taking melatonin. Melatonin does not appear to trigger serious side effects, although some people report nausea, dizziness, or headaches. You can learn more about melatonin and other approaches to overcoming insomnia in our online resource called Getting a Good Night's Sleep. And if you would like this, it is available at www.gettingagoodnightssleep.com. peoplespharmacy.com. Question. I wish you would write about the danger of lung complications from amiodarone. Lung toxicity occurs in significant numbers of users. This frequency leads to pulmonary fibrosis, which can be fatal. Amiodarone even comes with a black box warning. And I'm going to tell you right now, Joe and Teresa, that I speak from first-hand experience, having lost my husband due to amiodarone lung toxicity 3 short years ago. Answer. The Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA, cautions that amiodarone should be used only for life-threatening heart rhythm disturbances when other treatments do not work. This medication has many serious side effects, including pulmonary fibrosis and other lung complications. The drug also may cause nerve damage. It also may cause digestive distress and visual problems, fatigue, liver damage, thyroid problems, and serious skin problems. No one should ever stop amiodarone without careful medical supervision. If you would like to talk or write to Joe and Teresa Graydon, you may do so at their website, which is peoplespharmacy.com.
All right, now, if you happen to be listening to us in a comfortable chair and eating something that's sweet, you might want to listen to what sugar does and how, if we want to lose some weight, we need to watch out for it. Now, reducing sugar is hard, but we're going to get some new labels that we can read to help us find out what's in what we're buying. This is written by Melissa Erickson. She writes for the paper. Too much sugar isn't just making us fat, it's making us sick. Growing scientific evidence shows that eating too much added sugar is linked to serious health problems, including developing type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular type disease, hypertension, chronic fatigue, and liver disease. As we age, gaining weight is a serious issue, especially weight gained around the middle, said Laura Schmidt, a professor of health policy in the School of Medicine at the University of California at San Francisco. Sugar belly is a health concern for both men and women, Schmidt said, referring to an apple body shape in which the waist measurement is larger than that of the hips. It can be caused by metabolic syndrome due to an overconsumption of added sugar. Basically, too much added sugar overstresses our liver, which then fails to regulate it correctly. Instead, the liver turns the excess sugar into fat, which is stored in the liver and released into the bloodstream. The issue is that as we age, once you hit your 50s and on, you start to see changes in your metabolism, especially in postmenopausal women, but also in men who are more than vulnerable to weight gain and obesity, Schmidt said. In addition to other chronic diseases, consuming too much sugar can lead to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, Schmidt said. It's the second leading cause of liver transplant in America, she said. Just over 70% of Americans are overweight or obese, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Doctors often counsel people to lose weight, but Schmidt stresses that avoiding gaining additional weight is a good health decision too. You can't think that weight gain is just inevitable, she said. Here are some of Schmidt's tips. And you'll notice on the new labels that they have the total sugar right up there with the sat fats and the carbohydrates and the fiber, where before it was kind of hidden. And they're now finding sugar in the added sugars that weren't in the other label at first. The difference being now, the old can had only 1 gram of sugar, but the same product, being looked at more carefully, has a sugar total of 12 grams. So that's 11 grams difference. So now we can see how much sugar is really in what we're eating. Start with one thing. Cut out one simple thing, like the 3 p.m. sugary soda. Don't pile on too much at once. Do one simple thing. Do it well and make it a routine, Schmidt said. So first, stop drinking that soda at 3 o'clock. Secondly, make healthy replacements. Nature abhors a vacuum, Schmidt said. If you eat candy at your desk or while running errands, replace it with frozen grapes. Make sure you have a purse that doesn't leak. Change your habit, Schmidt said. Clean your environment. Get the crap out of your cupboards. Buy substitutes for the sugary foods that you enjoy. If you're a soda drinker, I'm glad I'm not. Make it yourself and gradually lower the syrup. Try soda water with lemon or a dash of fruit juice. Scientists recommend women consume no more than 6 teaspoons or 25 grams of added sugar a day. For men, it's 9 teaspoons or 38 grams. A 12-ounce soda equals 39 grams of carbohydrates. A 12-ounce beer equals 13 grams of carbs, and a 5-ounce glass of wine equals to 4 carbohydrates. Sugar is hiding in 74% of packaged foods, so be vigilant. So look for the new label. Due to increasing concerns about the amount of sugar consumed by Americans, a redesigned nutrition facts panel will debut in July. The biggest change is a separate line that highlights the added sugars in a food, which is expressed as a percentage of the recommended daily value. The amount of sugar consumption nutritionists find reasonable for a person as part of a 2,000 calorie per day diet. The current label shows the total amount of sugar, both naturally occurring and added, on one line. So watch your sugar.
And now we have a piece from the Fayetteville Opinion, from the Observer's editorials. And this title, this opinion piece, is James Anderson Speaks Truth About Power. James Anderson just pried open a door that many of us in Fayetteville need to walk through. The Fayetteville State University's chancellor, speaking in a UNC TV program, talked about the economic impact that black entrepreneurs should be having on Fayetteville, but they aren't. The university itself makes a big economic contribution to Fayetteville and Cumberland County, said James Anderson. But in Fayetteville, black people are not significant players in the economy of Fayetteville or Raleigh, etc., etc. There is a big difference between having a $365 million impact, that's the earning power our students have, but yet I look at Fayetteville and we are not in the top tiers of being powerful. That is a truth too often left unsaid in public conversations. It is out there, of course. Many of Fayetteville's black business owners will acknowledge it and express frustration over it. Segregation is gone. Jim Crow laws are gone. But more subtle discrimination is not. The route to high-level success is much less accessible to minority entrepreneurs, even when their education and business skills are every bit the equal of their white counterparts. But they are not insiders, and some of those who are insiders will not enlarge their club. That has a practical application in the way this city has grown and how it has been steered. One of the things that means, Anderson said, is when major decisions happen in the city about the future of the city, which includes our future. And we are not there. We are not at the power table. In a city whose population is nearly half minority, we should be spending more time talking about why that is still so. In the 1990s, after a racial controversy rocked the Fayetteville Police Department, city leaders inaugurated study circles. They were discussions that included black and white residents with ground rules that facilitated open and honest conversation about how race defined the quality of life in the city of Fayetteville. By the turn of the century, those discussions largely faded away, but the realities of economic inequality did not. In 2018, the situation is not much different than it was in 1997. As an institution, FSU itself has been marginalized and has not been an active player in the power structure of this community. The university campus is somewhat physically isolated up on Murchison Road, without a direct road connection to downtown Fayetteville. The realignment of Murchison Road, Rowan Street, and Bragg Boulevard will change that, as will FSU plans to expand by locating some facilities near Murchison Road's downtown end. But that will not necessarily change the university's place at the power table. And here is what should. It's not the FSU of previous generations. The HBC, or Historically Black University, is far more diverse than it has ever been. Nearly 45% of FSU's students are in the military, and the average student age is 25 years old. And the university is achieving excellence in many of its programs, especially its highly rated business school. It is growing homeland security programs and are tailor-made for creating a 21st century industry that can lift Fayetteville City's economy. But many of those things are happening, but they are happening too slowly. FSU is battling its old image, and the city's African American entrepreneurs are still battling Fayetteville's old power structure. During the UNC television program, James Anderson, Fayetteville State University's chancellor, said he is hopeful. Now, fortunately, we have a newly minted black mayor, his name is Mitch Colvin, who is going to be very serious in terms of that, which means getting more black people at the power table. The chancellor summed up the problem and the solution. We have a lot of very powerful, older, white families that control what goes on in this city, or in the case of the Research Triangle, and they control the Raleigh area as well. We need to make sure we are preparing our students in the right disciplines to be competitive in the 21st century. We are happy to hear the Chancellor's candor. He's accurately describing one of this city's serious problems. And it's not unique just to Fayetteville. But if we act on what James Anderson is saying, we have the opportunity to broaden and lift our economy and opportunity for all of our young people in this area. We need to continue that conversation in Fayetteville, and the city's power brokers need to be part of it. We can create change ourselves, or we can keep hiding from it and be bowled over when it inevitably arrives.
All right. This is very interesting. Our First Lady, her parents are legal permanent residents. Parents of First Lady Melania Trump have become legal permanent residents of the United States and are close to obtaining their citizenship, according to people familiar with their status. Immigration experts said Victor and Amalia Canaves very likely relied on a family reunification process that President Donald Trump has derided as a chain migration and proposed ending in such cases. The Canaveses, formerly of Slovenia, are living in the country on green cards, according to Michael Wildis, a New York-based immigration lawyer who represents the First Lady and her family. I can confirm that Mrs. Trump's parents are both lawfully admitted to the United States as permanent residents. The Canaveses are waiting scheduling for their naturalization oath ceremony, according to a person with knowledge of their immigration filings. Legal residents typically have to maintain residence in the United States for five years before they can obtain citizenship. Questions over the Canaveses' immigration status have escalated since Trump campaigned for the White House on a hardline anti-immigration agenda.
Now I have a small little article here I'd like to share with you. It's about Julie and Richard Morse, and they are fighting against a park for all-terrain vehicle riders. They say will bring noise, traffic, and other problems to their little quiet oasis of peace of rural Linden just off Slocum Road. But they may be KO'd by the state's broad interpretation of what constitutes farm tourism.
Wow.
Where do we go to talk about our concerns? Asked frustrated Julie Morse, who has taken the lead in fighting against Deep Creek ATV Park. It's never been really a big deal, Richard Morse said, but they alerted their neighbors, which many of their neighbors had no idea that this 645-acre ATV park was going to be constructed, and they're trying to get it finished by the end of this year. Julie Morse is drawing hope from a situation in Harnett County where a Superior Court ruled in 2014 that a gun range did not qualify as agri-tourism. Richard Morse calls his wife resourceful and has been her #1 ally on this issue, but he conceded Wednesday they are going to get the park. And his wife said, no, they're not. But many feel that this ATV park, which will allow hundreds of people to rev and roar their ATVs and breaking their peace and quiet, it's going to occur. This concludes our broadcast of the Fayettville Observer. Your radio hosts today have been Clark and
Tennessee.
At 2 p.m., please listen to the Southern Pine Pilot. At 4 p.m., you can also hear Off the Bookshelf. Additionally, you will hear a rebroadcast of today's Fayettville Observer tonight at 9 p.m. We will now join the Raleigh Network for additional news of interest. We want to thank you for tuning us in, and we wish that you have a wonderful day.